Ajok woke before the rooster and before the market drums. Her wrapper was always tight. Her hands knew the spoon like the root knows the soil. People said her stew could hush a crying baby, mend a broken heart, and warm a tired body. She cooked under a crooked almond tree on O Street. Her stall was small. 2 black pots sat on old stones. Smoke rose every morning and mixed with the laugh of children. Ajok moved like a song. When she stirred, she whispered prayers into the pot. When she served, she pressed her palm on a bowl like a blessing. People came with hunger and left with peace. Ajok had scars on her cheeks, for lands like small rivers. They told a story she did not speak out loud. She had 2 daughters far away in Lagos who were learning at school. She had no husband to call her own. But the town was her family. She gave food to those who had money and to those who had none. Return it with kindness, not cash, she would say, and people nodded. Farmers, nurses, students, tired traders, all knew the way to Ajok's stall. Her jollof was red with pepper and memory. Her okra was thick like soft stories. If the town had pain, Ajok's pot made it small for 3 grateful minutes. A whisper like smoke. Jealousy began quiet. It moved like smoke between stalls. Madame Tiniola, with glossy signs and loud music, watched the line that bent from Ajok's street to the palm wine cellar. Her cooler stayed full while Ajok's pots were empty. Other market women looked and did not smile. They met with folded hands, low voices, and cold eyes. They said Ajok's food smelled like magic. No woman should feed us so much love, one said. Maybe she has charm, said another. Small rumors became a dry wind that cracked the lid on the town's kindness. Ajok felt the change like a stone in her soup. Water drums leaked. Salt turned to sand in the jar. Flies buzzed only around her stall. A teacher who loved her amla fell ill and blamed Ajok. People who once greeted her walked past with hands on their bags. She kept cooking. She could not stop. Her hands trembled some mornings. She prayed aloud as she stirred. If I have used anything but pepper and prayer, let the earth take me, she whispered. The town heard the whisper and turned its face. The trial without a judge. One bright Tuesday the market was full. Drums beat from the palace. Ajok's firewood crackled early. By 7 the line had stretched to the palm wine house. People came with bowls made from patience. A pregnant woman who had not eaten for days took 1 spoon and smiled like sunrise. Ajok touched each bowl before it left, a little blessing in each hand. Across the street Madame Tiniola watched like a cloud ready to spill. Her girls yawned while Ajok's customers laughed with full mouths. By noon Madame Tiniola had had enough. She called for women who moved like shadows. They walked into the sealed shop with tinted glass. Later the shop door opened and the market washed. The women said Ajok used juju. They said she stole destinies and mixed them into stew. A plastic wrapped thing was pulled from Ajok's pots. The crowd gasped and pointed. Phones were up like small bright birds. No one asked where the item came from. No one waited for the truth. The elders met and a verdict fell like rain on dry roots. Ajok was banned. Her stall was pulled down. Her pot rolled into the gutter. No one spoke for the woman who had fed them. The slow mourning. When the market took Ajok away it felt like a long slow funeral. Her daughters in Lagos did not know the whole story. She told them only, "Pray for me," and changed the topic. At home her pot still simmered but the joy had left the steam. Her neighbors helped nail a crooked canopy near her cooking place, but people walked faster on her street now. Baba, the old firewood seller with a tooth that was mostly story, left her a bundle and walked away whistling a low song. She tried to light the fire that night. The wood would not burn. Her hands shook, and for the first time in a decade she cried. Those were not quiet tears. They came from a deep place that had been fed with love for many years. Shady, one of the women who once plotted against her, brought a bag of rice and an apology that tasted like paper. Ajok looked at her and said, "Tell them I forgive them." Shady blinked and ran. The town kept turning its face. Children called Ajok a mad mama stew. Her name became a warning. Ajok still cooked. She cleaned her pots. She folded her wrapper and sat by the lantern through nights that smelled of smoke and old songs. The night that would not forget. The wind that night had teeth. Ajok sat by the window humming her grandmother's song. 3 shadows moved in the yard. She smelled kerosene. She screamed and ran with a bucket, splashing her palms with water like armor. A glass bottle smashed. Fire leapt. The oil drum near her shed exploded into a cloud of hungry flame. People watched windows and stayed still. No footfall came from those she had fed. A burning plank fell on her leg. Smoke filled her mouth. She tried to crawl. Her lungs filled with hot black. In her last moments she looked at the town that had eaten from her pot. She felt betrayal like a heavy stone. Her last words, thin as smoke, left with the sparks, "They will eat from my pot again. They will swallow their shame with stew." Then the world closed its ears. The return at night. Weeks later in Lagos a new stall stood under a crooked mango tree. No one had seen it arrive. It had a small sign that read, "For hands that cook with love and mouths that forget too quickly." A fat woman in a faded wrapper stood by a single pot. No one asked her name. They called her Mama Night Food because she opened at 7:30 and shut at 10:30 every night like a piece of strict heaven. Her food tasted like memory. The meat fell apart like old stories. Factory men, nurses, and students came quietly. They ate and went. No one laughed loud. No one sang. The woman gave a nod and a small smile. There was a rule whispered by lips that wanted to sound brave: if you were innocent, eat and go. If you were guilty, eat and never wake the same. The woman did not kill with a knife. She cooked with memory. When the guilty tasted her stew, the sound of the past rose in their chest like a trapped bird. First came a trader named Ibrahim. He had carried the wood that night the market plotted the fire. He ate quickly and died by morning with no one to ask how. People who once turned their backs began to remember small things. A scar in the shape of a bow. A child's scream. The town's silence. The pot that shows faces. Most nights the woman served faces the city forgot. Moji, a tailor from Oyo, came one cold evening with a friend after finishing a job. The woman looked up and smiled like someone who knows a secret and is sorry. Moji ate and later froze. The meat on her plate had the same shape as the scar her mother bore, the burn from the market fire. Her phone stayed on the table. Morning found the house empty and the plate untouched. Stories like this moved like ants. People ate and the past crept in like a thief. Sometimes the eating showed a memory like a film behind the eyes, the cry Ajok made when her firewood would not burn, the way her wrapper dragged in the dust. Those who had loved her easily forgot. Those who had hurt her did not forget. Simi, who was far away at school in the Polytechnic, came home one night and found a fat round-faced woman stirring a pot by the road. She stopped. Her body said the word her voice could not, "Mommy." Then her mind said, "No." She walked away and slept on a pillow that dreamed of smoke and hot hands. For 7 nights she saw the pot burning in her sleep. Her heart woke each dawn like a trapped bird. She told no one. She ate no food that tasted like her mother. The woman in Lagos moved like a slow quiet storm. The road that collected lies. Back in Adure, the 7 women who had once sat like judges began to make plans for a wedding in Lagos. They wore lace and sang old songs while they drove. They laughed as if the past had been a small thing. The driver's car broke down near Okoto. They smelled pepper stew and sat near a lone bulb. The woman was there. She served them with a smile that did not greet the sun. At first they whispered and said the food reminded them of a joke. Then they ate. That night their luck turned like bad yam left on the fire. A car that had worked the day before fixed itself by morning, but a slow dark sorrow began to grow in their chest. Mama Lowie burst into flames while fanning oil in her kitchen and cried, "Forgive me, a joke." She died with her mouth wide like a small child who could not close sorrow. One after one the 7 women paid in ways that fit the wrongs. One lost a daughter's mind and could not find it again. One walked into a busy road shouting until she did not know her own name. One choked on water she could not swallow. One's house burned by the light of a small careless match. The driver who once felt the woman's eyes on him returned to the chief and spoke like a man who had seen the world turn. "I saw her and she knew me," he said. "She gave me a plate and I saw the night the fire burned." The town began to tremble with the truth it had swallowed. The sons who would not sleep. The elders of Adure could not hold the story inside their chest. They sent 3 trusted sons to Lagos to find the star. They walked separately like men who do not want the same dream. Tayo, Sefu and Bomadel sat under the bulb and tasted food that tasted like a woman's love. Tayo trembled when he heard a tune he had not heard in 20 years, a joker's cooking song. The fat woman hummed and smiled. Her eyes were like deep wells. For a second the bulb flickered. The woman vanished. Her pot turned into grey ash. The bench where they sat grew cold in a way fire cannot explain. The men ran back to Adure with their shoes full of ash and their mouths full of silence. When they told the elders, the town did not cheer. It bowed its head like a drum after a song. The truth sat heavy. The men had seen something the market had refused to name. People began to remember small things and then big things. They could not unsee the quiet in their palms. Ajoke's daughters heard pieces like broken beads, and Sime walked the road where the mango tree had stood. The tree was now blooming with red flowers even though it had dead for years been. The sign beneath the mango. Weeks later Sime found the place where the strange store had stood. No wood, no pot, only a small wooden sign nailed onto a low post. The letters were simple and true, for hands that cook with love and mouths that forget too quickly. Sime knelt and touched the place where her mother once stood and felt a warmth that was not flame. She did not weep like before. This time her tears were steady like a river that has remembered its path. People would come and tell the story, and some would still try to laugh. But the laughter was smaller. The town learned slowly. Some tried to fix what they had done with money and calls and small good acts. Some could not be helped. Sometimes justice on earth is small and slow. But the story will not let go. A joke had fed the town with love. The town had given her silence. Where the silence had sat, a new story grew. Sime kept her mother's spoon. She kept the song. She learned to cook with the same hands. She did not open at night. She opened at noon when the sun could see her walk. She taught children to say, "Return it with kindness, not cash." The sign under the mango stayed. People who hurried by would stop and feel the memory in their mouths like a taste of too hot stew. A plate for tomorrow. At the end, the town remembered what it had done. Small children learned the song a joke hummed. Mothers covered their pots with care. When a stranger came to town and asked if the story was true, old people looked at the sky and said, "Yes. Eat the food, but remember what feeds you." Sime cooked not to bring revenge but to heal what was left to heal. She served bowls with a palm on each lid like her mother taught her. The rule was simple: love the hands that feed you. The mango tree kept blooming red. And sometimes, when the wind smelled like pepper and smoke, a few old men would whisper that they still saw a fat woman at a small store far away, smiling and stirring a pot. They would say she came for mouths that forget too quickly and for mouths that remember when the heat of truth became stronger than the heat of fear. The town never again laughed when someone rose. They learned the hard way that envy is a fire you feed with silence. Keep your hands open and your words warm, the elder said. For when you bury the truth, it will grow in the dark until one night, it serves the world what it deserves, one steaming plate at a time.